Everyone, and welcome back to The Rise Factor. I am your host, Sarah, and today I have a very special guest joining me from New Zealand. Welcome, Emily.
Hello, thank you.
I'm so glad you agreed to come on, and I'm so grateful that I came across your TikTok and everything that you've been doing on that platform, but also the amazing person that you are and just sharing so much insight to educate your landlords. But Emily, for those that may not know you, can you tell us a bit about your journey into property management?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. I left school and I went to the University of Auckland and did a Bachelor of Commerce.
Mhm.
And once I left that, I pretty much took the first role within my degree that I could get. And that was just like a basic marketing role working for a motorhome and caravan company. Was totally like not my cup of tea, not what I expected, but I stuck it out. And then my mum and stepdad actually came to me because they own the company that I work for.
Mhm.
And they were looking for a new property manager. And I was like, well, I majored in marketing and management. So I thought that's like both of those in one job. So maybe I should look at giving that a go. So I said to my mum, like, can I please have the job? Like, please, I really want the job. It also came with a company car. And at the time, I think I was like 23 or 24. So that was like key, you know.
Yeah.
And then my stepdad pretty much sat me down and told me every single reason why I shouldn't do the job. And then in the end, I said, can I still have it? And he said, you can, just don't come to me in 6 months' time and tell me you don't want to do it anymore. And now we're 8 years down the track. So, yeah.
So incredible. What a phenomenal journey that you've had. You entered the industry at 23 years old. So what was your experience like stepping into property management at that age?
Yeah. So, in terms of property management, I didn't really have any experience other than overhearing what my mum had been doing for years before me because she ran the property management portfolio initially.
Mm.
The main issue for me was my age.
Mhm.
So just because of my age, I did lose a fair bit of business.
Mhm.
And, you know, for example, one of those clients who actually turned me down because of my age, a couple of years later came back to me and said they actually want to use me because they've not had a good experience with the person that they were using. And they were so sorry that, you know, they turned me down because of my age. But even when I think about it, like a 23-year-old looking after people's investment properties, I'm 31 now. And if I look at a 23-year-old, I think, wow, you're really young.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So, yeah, it was definitely an experience, especially, you know, a lot of my tenants were older than 23.
Mm.
So going in and giving tenants advice when you're that young and they're that level older is a bit difficult.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm very like dedicated to my job and I've worked really hard. So I guess that helped a lot. But it's just improved over the years as I've gotten older, I've gotten more knowledgeable. You know, I built longer term relationships with the clients and some really long term tenants as well. So
Yeah. How did you then like prove yourself so early on in your career?
mm, um, I think probably my dedication to the job, just those sorts of little things. I would answer my phone calls after hours, which honestly now I've like pulled back on a little bit because I've got other more important things, you know. But yeah, it was just really like just chucking myself in the job.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what would you say some of your biggest lessons you learnt over the first few years were?
That's a good question. Um, Huge life lessons for sure. And, probably actually not many lessons to do with property management, but more so lessons around um, how lucky I am to have been raised how I've been raised,
Mm.
and for the home that I grew up in, and yeah, who I had around me during that, because it's really clear when you meet all these different types of people and all these different types of situations, and you go through their homes, and it's really clear that not everybody lives the same way.
Mm.
And I guess I always knew that people didn't live the same way, and people had different things and ability to have different things, but not to the level that I've seen since
Mm.
doing the job. That's been like a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing, which I always laugh at, is when I was younger, I always used to think that adults were smart. And now I realize that that's not true. Not all adults are smart just because they're adults. Do you know what I mean? I always used to think, oh, everyone older is wiser than me or knows more things, or, the older you are, the more you know, but that's not necessarily the case because
Mm.
everybody's different. So, yeah, those are probably the main two things that I've learnt.
Yeah, that's great. All right, I want to
Yeah.
talk about the rental lady because that's
Mm.
the brand that you have put out there in the digital world. So can you tell us where the rental lady brand had initially begun?
Yeah, sure. So I went to a conference like only this year. And to be fair, a lot of the conferences I go to, not all of the speakers I get the same level of something out of.
Hmm.
Sometimes, yeah, all different levels of speakers, right? And how much they like engage with the audience and all that. So I went to this conference and there was a breakout session by Hermione, who you work with.
Yeah.
And my mum was with me at the time because she still owns the business that I work for.
Mhm.
Um, and I said, let's go to this breakout session, like, nothing to lose, whatever, let's go.
Yeah.
So we went to Hermione's breakout session, and she was talking about how we all really need to have a social media presence. Sorry, it's just my husband calling me, of course, perfect timing. And yeah, how people like to, before they work with us, they like to know our knowledge, like to know us, and we need to be putting ourselves out there a bit more online.
Mhm.
And initially, that terrified me a little bit because I'm not really someone who likes to just go and talk online and make videos, sort of thing. And I was thinking over the weekend, like, oh, what's the most natural way for me to have an online presence? And I couldn't really think of anything. And then I was on the phone to my mum just saying, I've got so many landlords who aren't my clients, and they're phoning me saying, I hear you're the lady to talk to for some advice about this, this, and this. And I was saying, I'm getting like so many of them. And my mum said, well, you have been doing it for 8 years. You are a qualified property manager. I guess you are an expert. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe I actually do know more than what I think I know, right? So then I thought, oh, this is like a really natural way for me to have an online presence. So that's how it started. And then just from posting those videos, like the engagement and the private messages that I get from all sorts of people is just amazing.
Mm. Mm.
Like on the daily.
Yeah. Do you remember the first few videos that you did, Emily?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when you posted them?
Oh my God, am I just going to get so much hate? Is this like cringy?
Yeah. And then
Um,
at what point did you then realize that your content was actually about connecting with people and your future landlords?
um, gosh, it was probably I would say like 5 or 6 videos in. I think once my first video just got like, some likes, as I kind of expected, next to nothing really. And then I did a video on commercially cleaning carpets, which actually in New Zealand isn't required by law as standard, right? And that just went off. Like, and I was only on Instagram, not on TikTok. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm getting like just notification after notification. I have to turn my notifications off. And I said to my husband, like, this is kind of getting annoying now. Like every time I open Instagram, it's just like tick, 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 like there's more coming up. And then someone who I used to do jujitsu with, she messaged me and said, like, you need to post your videos on TikTok because like you'll go viral. And I said, oh, I don't really know about posting on TikTok because I always thought of it as like a bit more of a meaner space, you know? And I said, I don't know if it's for me or maybe I just need to grow a backbone. And she replied and said, just grow a backbone. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I did it. And I think like that carpet video went like quite viral on there as well. And I think so did the next one. And it was kind of after those videos that I had all sorts of people messaging me like, can you do a video on this? Hey, I have this problem. Like, what would you do in this situation? And I mean, to be clear, none of it is like for tenants to come to me to build a case against landlords or anything like that. It's just to give advice to tenants on what their rights are and how to be the best tenants, and same with landlords. And I've had, even landlords message me and say, I'm doing this, I've just seen your video and I can see it's wrong, what I'm doing, like what should I do? So yeah, it's that's kind of when it started to change in terms of like, oh wow, I'm actually helping like a lot of people here.
Why do you think that your content resonates so strongly with audiences? I mean, I know the answer to that.
Oh, okay. I personally don't really know, but my mum says, and I always trust my mum, my mum says it's because I just sit there and just look and act like a normal person. I'm not all like makeup up to the hills, and they're not all posed videos. A lot of them are with my son watching Bluey in the background, or, whacking his plastic spoon on his tray, or it's just in between. It's just real life, like I'm busy and I'm just doing them when I've got the opportunity to do them. So they come across as, I suppose, like authentic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
More than that, Emily, I think that what I know why your content resonates so strongly with audiences is because you talk about things that some people won't talk about. Like the spicy things that, are sharing your opinion, sharing, trends that you're seeing with that realness and rawness. And I believe that's why it resonates so strongly with your audience. Do you now have a strategy behind your content that helps you generate leads from your TikTok and your Instagram now?
Yes, in a way. And I think the only real thing that I'm doing is when I'm starting a video, I'm actually going in there straight away and introducing it with like a kind of grasping start, or something that's a bit like makes people step back and think, oh, did she just say that? And then they keep watching. So it's like that little, like just the first like 5 seconds I've got to get you before you just swipe.
Yeah.
So, and then also, of course, making sure that you've got a header on your video that actually says like, this is what the video is about.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a marketing background. So has that helped you now market yourself and your personal brand?
To a point, yes. But I personally believe that for me, studying marketing in university, doing my Bachelor of Commerce, didn't teach me too much other than having more confidence in myself and knowing that I have the ability to learn. I
Mm.
think a lot of it is all just learned out in the real world.
Mm.
Yeah. So to a point, yes, but not heavily. No.
Okay. Is there
Yeah.
a specific video? I mean, you mentioned one, but is there a specific type of video that you did that surprised you the most?
Yes. Yes. There's a
What was
couple,
okay.
but one was actually when I spoke about when I found one of my tenants deceased.
Mm.
Um, and I remember I deleted that video now, which I will tell you why in a minute. But I started that like again in a quick like grasping. I found one of my tenants deceased, and then bam, someone wants to listen to your story, right?
Mm.
And initially, that video went really, really well, and I got comments and private messages from like people whose family had been found by professionals who'd come into the house or something like that. And the main purpose of that video was to shed light on the importance of having an emergency contact on your tenancy agreement
Mm.
because so many people don't.
Yeah.
And in this particular instance, we didn't have an emergency contact for this person, and we were struggling to contact his family who lived overseas.
Wow.
So that was the whole purpose of the video. And I had a person from stuff.co.nz contact me to put it on their news
Mm.
site. And I agreed to have it on the site. And he took my story, and everything that he put on there was correct. But obviously, once that story gets like pushed onto New Zealand news websites and more people see it, more people have opinions on it. So then I started getting like emails to my work email, text messages on my phone, and messages on like TikTok and Instagram saying like how distasteful this is and how offensive this is to this person's family. Like really like yeah, a whole bunch of like filtered messages on TikTok, which I actually only discovered like what they were and how to access them the other day. So some of them I've only like recently just read. But yeah, like some really, really nasty stuff. But I mean, I was very careful when I made that video not to mention like the
The
person's
family,
name,
yeah.
his
Family.
address,
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah. I think, Emily, what shocks me the most, and firstly, I think well done on sharing that, but also
Mhm.
as an industry, we need to share more of those things because a lot of our community and the people that we serve don't actually realize the implications that those situations have on the individuals that work in
Oh,
property
yeah,
management, right?
yeah,
So the fact that you found this person and
mm,
all of the things that you would have been thinking, feeling, experiencing, navigating through that. Also, a landlord that you had to deliver, that news to, and it's a lot, right? And so I think,
mm,
first of all, shame on people who were making those comments. And I think more people in property management need to share the actual real life scenarios that happens. And so I know another business owner and BDM, she shared about one of her landlords had a growth house in one of the properties. And she shared that to also the intent to shed a light on what happens if this happens at your investment property. Didn't name the
yeah,
property or anything, and how she helped this landlord during a time, but also what she had to go through emotionally and
mm,
feeling with finding that, like,
mm,
to actually go to a property, do a routine inspection and find that happening and occurring is a big
yeah,
shock to the nervous system.
yeah,
And so I think I applaud you for, sharing things like that. And I wish more people actually shared things like that in property management so that
mm,
landlords and tenants actually see in real life what we have to do every single day, because it's not just
yeah,
managing properties, it's been in certain situations like this and navigating through that. So,
Yeah,
do you think now that the property management industry and property managers and BDMs is finally embracing more personal branding with social media?
100%. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And why do
definitely.
you think that is?
Um, I guess there's so many of us out there, and I think a lot of people are doing it to build up some form of showing who they are personally.
Mm.
But I also think there's so many more changes that have happened, and property management is like more complex than it's
Ever
ever been.
before.
That there's so much more to share.
Mm.
And I think when you look at it, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, you could have said a private landlord could quite easily do this themselves and have their own full time job. But when you look at it now, to manage a property really is a professional job.
Hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's so complex. So yeah, I think more people are out there sort of sharing that.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what opportunities has your Instagram and your TikTok created for you professionally now?
Actually a fair bit, which is really cool. So I've done work with a brand on some leak alarms, which was really cool. Um, I've just announced and just started doing a tenancy drop-in clinic in one location, and we're just in the middle of sorting out the last little final details for a second location. So that's just like a free clinic where tenants can drop in if they need help applying for rental properties, or they need help maybe putting like a tenant CV together, or any just general questions, then they can pop in for no cost to them and come and see us. So that's like something that's opens up a lot. And also business, to be honest. Like I've
Mm.
picked up a couple of new managements from it as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So
Yeah.
Emily, TikTok can feel intimidating for many people, and like, going back to what you said earlier, you weren't sure if you were going to go on TikTok. What would you
Mm.
say to someone who wants to start but feels scared?
Um, it's probably normal to be scared because I was. Um, I would definitely say, as long as you stand firm on what you're putting out there and you're happy with what you're putting out there and what that represents, and you're sure of yourself, then like go hard. But if you're someone who knows that any little bit of judgment is, going to affect you mentally, because it really could, then maybe just look carefully at what you're going to put out there, or whether you're going to put anything out there at all.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, because it comes with a lot as well.
Yeah. Well, with visibility comes criticism. So, how do
Yep.
you firstly handle the negative comments and trolls that exist online?
Yeah, I mean, the first lot, um, I just kept saying to my husband, like, oh my God, like, look what this person's written. Like, maybe I should take this down. And he said, no, that's exactly what they want you to do.
Mm,
Like, you just have to ignore it, because if you put it out there, people are going to have opinions, and not everyone has the same opinion.
mm,
So, yeah, that's a tricky one. But I think you really do, just over time, grow a bit of a backbone. And I think the more videos that I put out, the more I'm like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing, what I'm putting out there, what I'm trying to say, why I'm doing it. And I think every single thing that you put out there can be misinterpreted,
mm,
um, which it always is, and it always will be. And that's just humans, and
mhm.
not all humans are nice. Like, we know this.
Yeah.
So that's just a part of life. But
Do
yeah.
you, do you think, Emily, that women in property management would face a different level of online criticism than if it was a male doing the same videos as you,
Good
based on like
question.
the comments and things like that that you receive?
I mean, maybe like I've had some silly comments. Like I think when I'd started posting for like 3 weeks, 3 weeks down the line, I had someone message me and say, "Are you pregnant? Because your face looks chubbier in this most recent video than what it did in the first video." I mean, no man's going to get that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Someone asked me if I had a nose job, like just those sorts of things. Like I don't know if a man's physical features would get
Mm.
picked upon so
Mhm.
much, but in terms of like what I'm actually saying, um, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's something maybe
I'd have to
that was.
compare it to a man's um, videos. Yeah,
Yeah, and see. Well,
it's
I think,
interesting.
predominantly property management is women. And so, any listeners that are also listening or watching today, pose a question for you all as well. Do you think that women in business face a different level of online criticism than men? And I think that we do, personally,
Mhm.
because of like things that you have just mentioned. All right. So what does success look like for you now, Emily, to when you first started in the industry? Because, you're years and years on now. You've been doing some really great things.
Mhm. Success is totally different now.
Mm.
So it's all based around my son and my husband,
Mm.
100%. So I used to be very like business, 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 and I still am to a point.
Mm.
Um, but the most important thing is my family. And I think being successful is allowing me to still do this job that I love and try and make a difference, like I'm trying to make,
Mm.
but also still have the space and like the ability for that family time and, to put my family first. I mean, right now I'm in a really great position where my son only goes to daycare twice a week
Mhm.
and he has a day with his granddad, a day with his nana, and a day with me at home while I'm working in between, you know,
Yeah.
snacks and bluey and walks and nappies and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think basing like family is in the middle and then basing everything else around the outside of that.
Yeah, completely resonate with that. I think motherhood, because we're a similar journey for where we are,
Mm,
definitely shifted my perspective on business and success. Because I was like you,
mm,
I was like, go, go, go. And look, there still are some seasons where I am go, go, go. But
mm.
I've got very much in a position where my son, is cared for and has a lot of time with mum. So I'm really like myself, which I'm really grateful for. And I always wanted it to
Yeah.
be like that. But I think it's also given me a different reason to do what I do and to help so many people because one day, Alistair is going to be one of those people who needs help. And so that's
Yeah.
how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So how important do you think as someone like in property management or, in a growth role and also um, wife, mum, how important do you think creating a business that supports your personal life and your family vision is?
Oh, it's everything.
Mm.
Yeah, 100% everything.
Mm.
I can't imagine now having a job where I would have to sit in an office and put my child in daycare 5 days a week.
Mm.
Um, and some people have to do that, and I totally understand that. But I'm just so grateful that I don't have to do that. Um, and that's something that I'll make sure now that I never ever have to do.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
because yeah, that's, yeah, motherhood is just, yeah, I didn't realize the shift or the change that I would have until he was here,
Yeah.
you know, but it very much so changed for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the future.
Mm.
Exciting chapters ahead. What's the future of the rental lady look like?
Hopefully keep growing,
Hmm.
keep helping more people, discussing new topics, even if they are controversial.
Yes.
um, and yeah, I mean, I don't 100% know where it will go. I am looking at working on like some basic landlord courses for landlords to do. Um, and having that up on a site by me that landlords can access and work through. Um, that would be something that even landlords who use property management services would be encouraged to do because it just goes through all the basic um,
Love that.
things of what landlords are responsible for and the RTA. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm heading towards. I've started working on it. Um, well, I'm quite in deep in working on it, but I haven't really like put it out there anywhere yet. So yeah, hopefully that goes through. That would be cool.
Mm.
And then yeah, just keep up with these rental clinics and just building the connections and giving the people advice and the support and yeah.
I think that's incredible, Emily. Like, congratulations. Like, some of the things that you've done, some wouldn't think about doing it, especially here in
Yeah.
Australia as well. So I think that's amazing and everything that you've built so far. Before we wrap up, Emily, if you could go back to that 23-year-old self that just started in property management, what advice would you give her?
Mm. Um, I'd probably say grow a backbone, like a mega one, because you're going to see some things that you would never have thought that you would see, and you're going to learn some crazy things that you've never thought about
Mm.
society or families or work, money, health.
Mm.
Um, yeah, because I've definitely seen a lot.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea that I would see that. I thought, oh, I'm just going in to work for mum and look through some houses and rent some houses. That is the total of what I thought the job was. But
Yeah.
it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
advice. Great advice. Emily, it's been a pleasure having you on today. For those that would love to see your controversial TikTok and Instagram, which, by the way, any listeners, they're not all controversial. Emily does a great
Yeah.
job at educating and influencing her marketplace and keeping it real, raw, and it's phenomenal. Like, I always love to see the comments because yeah, we just know people are keyboard warriors. I'm sure they wouldn't be like that in person. But if those that want to connect with you and follow you further, where would you like them to head?
So I'm just on Instagram and on TikTok, and I'm for both of those, I'm just the underscore rental underscore lady. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you again, Emily, for coming on, sharing your insights, your journey. I'm really excited to see what the next 12 months look like for you with everything that you've got
Thank
coming
you.
on. And I'm sure it'll be all a success because it sounds like anything that you put your mind to, you've gone out and you've done it because you now have that backbone and confidence to support.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And for all of our listeners, please make sure you connect with Emily. And as always, keep rising.